Hey friends, it's Becky Rogers and I am jumping on to do a quick live. I haven't done this forever, like a long time, so I feel a little bit funny about it. But like I said in my comments, I've been off social media for a while, and so it's been kind of fun to come back and see a lot of old friends and a lot of new friends. And so I thought I would just take an opportunity to explain a little bit, maybe reintroduce myself, give you an idea of what we do here in West Africa, because in 2017 our family moved to Ghana, kind of on just a prompting, not knowing what we were supposed to do when we came. And one of the things that we found when we moved here with our 5 youngest kids, and when we moved here we realized right away how many of the women, particularly in our community, didn't read at all. And it was very apparent that because of this, their opportunities were very limited in how they could provide for themselves, how they could manage their families, and how they could really, develop themselves personally. And so in the beginning we started a couple of literacy centers, mostly just as an experiment to see what would happen. And then that program really took off. And so that's kind of how we started. Here in Ghana, we started a nonprofit called Families Mentoring Families. It's a .org. If you want to see what we do, you can look that up. But that's how we started here. Now, it's been 9 years since we've been here, and it's just been so miraculous and amazing to see what has happened in a relatively short amount of time. But the thing that I wanted to share with you today is the story of our survivors, because right before COVID, it was right before COVID, we had an awareness of how many times children in an orphanage or in a children's home have parents. They're just not able to take care of their kids. They don't have the means to be able to feed them, to be able to provide their school fees, things like that. And so one of the things that I saw repeatedly was how many mothers would bring their children to the foster system here, and then once those children went to stay someplace else, no one ever worked with the mother again to be able to take care of her children, to be able to take back the care of her children. So that was really heartbreaking to me. And so I thought, well, maybe what we could do is we could make a children's home, but where the mothers could come with their children, and then we could work with the mothers to give them vocational skills, to help them in their literacy, give them the skills that they need to be able to provide for themselves and to provide for their children. So that was kind of our original vision of what we were thinking of, how we could contribute in our community. And so we actually started on that project, and then in 2020 and 2021 we got called asking if we could accommodate survivors of trafficking. And so, of course, what are we going to say? No, of course. We said, yes, we can accommodate survivors of trafficking. And so because of that, it's really actually grown our program. And that's how we have really discovered it, I guess, or built it out. So I just want to share with you this story, because unfortunately it's very common. And yes, our survivors, our women here, have a lot of resilience. Their courage is amazing. It's baffling almost. But they have some things in common in their stories. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because here it's very common for women to go out to work. Like they are kind of raised with the idea that if they can go abroad to work, that all of their problems will be solved. And so they'll, think, I'm going to go abroad. I'll be a receptionist, I'll be a nanny, maybe like a domestic worker even. Usually they think they're going to go do some better work than that, and they even get told that they could get paid even $5,000 a month. Anyway, so they'll go abroad. Their family is even very encouraging to that, because then that's going to save their family financially. So they're expected to send their money back home, right? So that's what they think they're going to do. Most of those women have children that they left behind here to go out to work. They left their children in the care of like their mother or an auntie or a friend. They're going to go out and work and send money back. That's what they think is going to happen. And they'll answer an advertisement on something like WhatsApp, passport guaranteed, work guaranteed, visa guaranteed. You're going to make all this money. So then they'll start to like they'll start to pay fees to get that process going. Okay, so they're paying along as they go. And at some point, once they get invested enough in that process, they can't really go back on it, then they will get notified of a job opening in a certain particular place. Once they get to that place, and keep in mind, they think they're going to be really the salvation of their family financially, and so they're willing to make that sacrifice. They think that, so when they arrive at the place that they're going to work, their passport is taken away from them, and they have been sold. They have been sold human trafficking. Okay, they've been sold for something like $2,500, maybe. Okay, that's just an example, but it's a pretty typical example. So they get assigned out to a house, whatever household they're assigned to. It's anybody's guess what will happen when they're there. Most of the time, these girls are made to work 24 hours a day, and they don't get fed very well. Sometimes they're sleeping on the floor in the kitchen, or they're on the floor in the garage. Sometimes they're hiding, locked themselves in the bathroom to protect themselves from the man of the house or the son that lives there, those kinds of things. And so typically what will happen is they will run away to protect themselves at some point. And once they run away, if they are caught on the street without a passport and without a travel visa or travel documents, they are at risk of being arrested, and they will go to prison right away. And so, and usually what happens with that is once they go to prison, then either the trafficker, the agent on that side, or the household that they were sold to or assigned to, will come to the prison and make an accusation against the girl. Say maybe she stole something like a bracelet, or she stole money, or she, something like that. So now she doesn't just have only a runaway case, but now she also has a criminal case. And those two legal definitions are very important for us to understand as we set about getting new travel documents, clearing fees. Every day that girl is in prison, she accumulates fees that she has to pay. And of course, how is she going to pay those fees? She doesn't have any money. Something on me? Can you get it off? It's a sticker. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, so she's accumulated these fees, and we have to get those cleared. We cannot pay those, otherwise it becomes a business from that end, right? So we have to have people on the ground in those different places that can keep track of each of the court cases of these girls. And we actually have an amazing woman, heart of gold. Her name is Andrea, and she knows every single girl. She knows every single case. We cannot afford to make any mistakes. If we make a mistake with the wrong kind of case, that girl can go to prison for 2 years with no questions asked. So we have to really be up on it and what is happening. And so anyway, so what we do is, so in prison, that's one of the places where the girls find our number. Sometimes they find our number from somebody that's on the street, like while they're hiding. They're hiding from the police on the street. Sometimes they'll call us and leave us messages. We get them every single day, just begging for help, asking for some way that they can come home, some way that they can be free. So the other place we find them is, you can imagine, if they're working 24 hours a day and they're not being fed, it's not going to take very long before that girl gets sick, and she'll be in the hospital. So that's another place that they find. And sometimes in the hospital, this is even more urgent, because sometimes they'll be presented with documents in another language they don't understand. They don't have anyone there that can advocate for them in another language. And so sometimes they'll get presented and they'll say, oh, you're sick, you need a surgery. And that girl will leave minus a kidney or a part of her liver or some other part of her body that she would really prefer to keep. But that's a real risk for them when they are sick enough to go to the hospital. It's not a safe place for them at all. So out of those three places, typically they'll find our number, and then we set about figuring out what's the situation, what's the case, where is she from, where does she need to go home. We have to get her new visa, new travel documents. So we have to get the case and the fees cleared with the court so that she can legally travel. And I remember a couple of years ago when there was a bunch of fighting going on in one of these countries that had just started up, and we had a woman who was, she had been in prison for 5 years in this kind of situation, in a prison that was mostly underground for the most part. And we finally got her cleared to travel, and she was very happy. We were very excited about it. She took transport to the airport. And right as she pulled up to the airport was closed because it wasn't safe for flights coming in and out because of what was happening in the region. And so heartbreaking. And so they turned around, she went back to the prison, and the thing that she had to say about that was how grateful she was that she had seen the sun on that day. And the good news about that is we made another go of it. We got her ready again, and she was able to eventually go home a little bit later. And that's thanks to all of you that support us at Families Mentoring Families that make that possible, because it's a big job. I think right now we have like 100 girls in the queue who, many of them are ready to travel, and the rest of them will be ready to travel very soon. And so we get to help them through that process. Right now, in our organization, I told you about this aftercare center that we run here. I'll probably do another live later about that, give you more of a tour, maybe tomorrow, I don't know. It's pretty cool, where they can come. When they come back home, sometimes they're not able to go home. There's a lot of different reasons for that. Sometimes they're too sick and they're a financial liability for their medical care to their family. Their family doesn't have the means to get them well. So in that event, they come to us, and we run a residential facility here in Kumasi in Ghana. And another instance would be maybe the mother has taken out a loan to send her daughter abroad to work so that she can send the money back. But when she comes back with no money, sometimes the family's expecting her to come back with the money. And so if she doesn't have anything when she comes back, it's not necessarily a good situation, and either for the girl or for the person who, borrowed money to send her. So that's something I would not have anticipated or guessed until I had seen it with my own eyes more than once. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because when I post things in the future, it's in that context. And really, I want you to be able to, I have to do it in a careful way because we have to make sure that our survivors are safe. But many of them want to tell their stories, and partly so that they can be an influence to other girls that they shouldn't go out. Because a lot of times, you'll tell them, oh, you shouldn't go. They won't believe it. They'll think, oh, you just don't, you went out and got your fortune. You just don't want me to go out and get mine. And so a lot of them are wanting to tell their stories as a means of inspiration and motivation to other young women, that there are other options that they can do. When they come back to this facility, they get to do vocational training. They get to work on their literacy and their education. One thing that is different about our program specifically than any other program I've seen is that we have designed it to accommodate them to come with their children. Because for me, I can't imagine I can't imagine that kind of separation and the sacrifice that these mothers are willing to make because they think it will provide a better future for their family and their children. So that's what we do here. We are able to, we also provide, so a lot of times when they come back, they think they know what they're going to do. They want to get a shop or something, but it doesn't take very long till they realize they are more in trouble. I was going to say screwed, pardon the French. They are in more trouble than before they left because they don't have any skills. They don't have any way to take care of themselves. And some of them think they just got a bad agent. And if they go out again, they'll get another one. So we have to really do some mental mastery work with them to help them to, see through the trauma, to break through that, and to give them the confidence and the skills that they need, that they know they don't have to, that they can provide for themselves. They don't have to go out. They don't have to put themselves in dangerous situations or, sell themselves short in order to be able to make a living to support themselves. So anyway, that's a little bit about us. And I don't know if you've watched this far. Thank you. I just, for me, I just want their stories to be heard. They're so brave, they're so resilient, and they've made huge sacrifices, and they are working so hard. Over the next few days, I'm going to drop a few more lives to just show you a little bit of what they work on. And we're also running aftercare. So this one is in Kumasi in Ghana, which is where I am right now. This is where we actually live for now. And we also run an aftercare center in Nairobi, so we can accommodate Kenyan girls, and also in Nigeria, so we can accommodate Nigerian girls. And right now, actually, we're getting a lot of survivors back to Sierra Leone. So that's another thing that's coming in right now. Like, there's an endless list of possibilities of what these girls can face in a new future as they learn how to rewrite their old stories and prepare something well for their family. So thanks for watching. Keep your eyes open. We're going to drop more stories over the next few days. Love you guys.